Okay, so the next step, we want to spawn enemies. So we want to pick the portal 0, spawn here enemies. So our enemies would be those three, and then they would want to just go to this portal and they would follow the white path, right? So let's do that. Right, so the first thing I want to do is say public node get, right, so get portal and int id my index, right, and return portals index. Yeah, so this is just so our enemies would be able to get some portals. Okay, so first of all we would create a monster class, so I made it for now, and in the end we want to make a monster that has a path. It knows where to go, it knows its current location, the end location, and it just follows this path. So each time it gets to a new current node and it removes it from the path and goes to the next node, and this is how it would move basically, and this is it. And when it gets to the target node we would for now destroy the monster, something like this. So it basically would just spawn in some position, go to the target, and that's it. Okay, so I created a monster class. Now what do monster need? So I guess it's need to have a node. So right, so we had public node, maybe current, right? So maybe we want to say public at list of node path, right? So you so now for now, what else do we want? And right, so this is it for now, and maybe target, right? So public node target, target node. Okay, so okay, another thing we want to say is void set. Okay, it's a void set target. So we want to pass the board, right? So when we spawn something, we would spawn a monster, then we would want to say on what board was it spawned on, and yeah, that's it for now. And maybe node target, right? So target node is going to be the target, and we want to say private board 1, and I guess we would say this is also private, and this dot board is board. Okay, so this is it for now. Okay, so if path is not equal to null, and okay, that's it for now. Right, so we want to have void reset path, right? So okay, so why do we need it? So when we build something, we would go inside our board and tell all the monsters inside the board to reset their path. So maybe they can't actually go the way they were going. Public, right? So this is it for now, and Here we say path is equal to null. In here we say path is equal to new path finding dot find path between current and target node. Right, so okay, so for now I want to have a public monsters right, so something like this. We have an array of monsters. Okay, and we would set something in here and we would spawn any monster at randoms, right? So let's say public void spawn monster, and let's return a monster actually. Right, so let's put an ID, int ID, index actually, and for now the index would be just the way they are arranged in this array, but we can always change it later, like how those works. But this is just initial step, right? So spawn monster, what we would do is like here, want to instantiate, so var monster going to be return instantiate monsters index. And okay, so next step is set, what did we call it in here, set target, like initialize, right? So this is a better naming. So initialize going to be port, and target should be this target, right? So here we want to actually say node current, so this dot current is equal to current. We also would want to change the position to match the node position, so portals fs portals 1 return monster, and this is it. So this is our spawning function. Okay, so this is the way we spawn our other nodes, so the terrain and towers, and we would actually use this for our monsters. So we go inside the instantiate, we just copy paste this and say transform.parent is equal to this, and here it's gonna be current x and current dot y, right? And this should do it. Okay, so we would create a monster spawner, so this would handle how we would actually spawn monsters, the levels, whatever. For now it would just pick one random monster and spawn it. So while true for now, it's actually let's say bool spawn is equal to false, and true spawn, and yield return you wait for seconds time. So yeah, let's set it to be float, and Okay, so int spawn is equal to 0, so we just measure how much we have spawned, and spawned plus plus. We would want to have void public void initialize. Right, so the monster spawner would be created by our board actually. So board, 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 board. Right. The board is equal to board, and if spawn, right, so if spawn, so actually this would be false. Int max spawn, let's set it to be, let's say 10. Actually, okay, so if not spawn, let's say start quarantine random spawn. Okay, so let's say point, actually 1. Okay, so every second we would spawn an enemy. Spawn equals true. If spawned, the door max spawned, just stop quarantine, random spawn. Right, so IE nominator so we want to remember our spawn loop. So spawn loop is equal to random spawn 1. We would start this loop, we would end this loop, and this is it for now. Okay, so actually I can say if stop okay, so if stop and so if not stop and this, we would say stop and stop quarantine. We actually don't need now the stop quarantine, but whatever. This should be fine for now. Okay, so what we're going to say inside the random spawn is board.spawn monster, and let's say 1, right? And this is it. Oh, actually we can say random. Index. Okay, so we have 3 monsters and we pick one at random and would spawn it. And inside the board we just need to create now the spawner. So private spawner, let's say spawner is going to be news, add component, let's spawn 5 enemies. Okay, so with that we finished. The only thing that left to do is create our enemies. Monster, monster, monster. Let's put them inside the monster list. Okay, and let's try this. And nothing happening. We're nice. Okay, actually this is happening. Let's see, do we have something in here? Nothing. Okay, so we have 5 enemies. Okay, cool. So the only thing you want to do is separate this, so floor would be inside the floor objects. Okay, so let's actually add inside the board public transform terrain, structures, monsters. So basically set up those 3 terrain holder, structure holder and monster holder. We set them to be a new game object terrain, new game object structure, monster. Set the parents to be our board and vector 0, and vector 0. Go inside the node. In here, instead of saying border transform, say border terrain holder, and that's it. Go inside the node object instead of terrain. Right, so in here we have terrain transform, but whatever, that won't actually hurt us. We can do the same thing over here, so we actually just switch this to be node object. This is going to be node object 2. Remove those two, and structure holder. Okay, so right now, before that the node object was on the terrain object, but now they are actually separate. And the last step is going to be to go inside the monster, right, and in here instead of board and monster holder. Right, so if we look now, everything should work as it was. Right, so let's just, yeah, so nothing actually went wrong. And if we look inside the board, it's just more normally separated. So with the walls, and inside the structure we have the portals. Right, so now we can find everything pretty easily.